So what's up, YouTube? Welcome to my new series, Car Rides with Mike. Nah, that's bullshit. No, it's just a regular series that we do on topics that we're talking about. And of course, it spans politics, sports, whatever you want to talk about. And that's just kind of what it is. So the big issue going on right now in the country is Brett Kavanaugh and the Supreme Court seat to replace retiring swing vote Anthony Kennedy. Now, Kennedy was your prototypical swing vote. Sometimes he sided with the liberals, sometimes he sided with the conservatives. But deep down, he was more of a conservative justice than he was a liberal. But with his abrupt retirement, there came an opportunity for he who shall not be named, Agent Orange 45, to get another conservative justice on. As you know, probably know, I hope you do anyway, is that Neil Gorsuch replaced Antonin Scalia, who, died of a heart attack or something. God rest his soul. I'm not saying that because I'm a fan of him, fan of Scalia. I'm just saying that because, he died, and everybody deserves, respect. But so Gorsuch was placed on the Supreme Court as a replacement. Now, that was controversial because Mitch McConnell decided that since the death of Scalia happened during the presidency, the last year of the presidency of Barack Obama, that he was not going to allow Barack Obama to reshape the court and give it a 5-4 liberal advantage. So he decided that no, we're not going to fill this seat. And not only that, they vowed that if Hillary Clinton, Secretary Clinton, had won the election and became President Clinton, part D, that they were not going to fill any seat, that they were going to run the court with 8 people, basically 4-on-4, which would have been a stalemate. You would have had, a 4-on-4 decision on nearly every major case. And conservatives were happy with that, as long as it didn't tilt anyway, because Democrats would not have had the majority to be able to do that. Now, hypothetically, had Clinton won, then more than likely the majority would have been a Democratic Senate. And since confirmations don't have to go through the House, the makeup of the House wouldn't have mattered. So what McConnell did was one of the greatest acts of political theft in the history of America. Now, there is no way to quantify how damaging this was to the judicial process. But the ends justify the means. So if McConnell was able to stop Obama from appointing a liberal judge, which would have given a 5-4 liberal slant, which could have meant the expansion of Medicare, could have meant the expansion of universal health care. It could have meant the expansion of Social Security. It could have meant the expansion of immigration rights. It could have meant everything that liberals wanted. Then that's a net positive. If destroying the democratic process and the process of nominating of nominees to the judiciary was worth that seat. So now here comes the second part. You have retiring Kennedy, who now gives Trump the opportunity to not only build on the theft of McConnell, but then swing it back the other direction. So this was a very big thing. But they happened to pick a guy who is utterly bereft of moral compass. So here you have this guy, and it seems like that Trump has this way of, I don't know if it's just innate, but he finds a way to pick people with many of the same character flaws that he has. Scott Pruitt was a grifter. Gorsuch, not Gorsuch, but Kavanaugh, sexual abuser. I mean, just completely people who are exactly after his own heart. So right now, Christine Blasey Ford is testifying before the Senate Judiciary Panel to give her account of how Brett Kavanaugh sexually abused her. And this could go down because several of the female senators on the Republican side are now coming into view. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, a lot of these guys, Jeff Flake, even though he's not a female, but Jeff Flake, who's retiring, Bob Corker, who's retiring, all these people have spoken out forcefully against Trump's agenda, but in the end, they've given him the votes that he's needed on not only legislation, but nominees. If this goes down, if the Kavanaugh nomination goes down and the midterms happen the way the midterms are projected to happen, this could essentially upend the rest of the Trump presidency. Why do I say that? Well, I say that because if they lose the House, any future taxes that any future tax reform or tax cuts they want to do, gone. Any potential reforms that they want to do in terms of immigration, dead. Now, if they lose the Senate, that means all judges, everything from the judiciary, gone. Any potential Supreme Court nominees, dead. Any legislation in terms of tariffs, tax cuts, dead. Everything that Trump is trying to do in terms of his legislative agenda, dead. So if that's the case, then essentially the Trump presidency is over, because this is a very favorable map to the Republicans. Very, very favorable. Democrats are defending something like 23 seats in the Senate. Republicans are defending like 10. So this is a super favorable map for Republicans. They should actually come out of the midterms with an expanded majority in the Senate. But because Trump is such an albatross, because he's such a liability, then it's looking like they may even lose the Senate. They're losing in places like Tennessee. They're losing in places like Arizona. They're losing in places like North Dakota, even though incumbents, run pretty strong in some of these areas. The GOP is down. Now, you have conservative House districts like in Pennsylvania and places like that, where they're kind of bellwethers, where Republicans should be walking over this. They shouldn't even be committed any money to these races. They should be able to spread the money out to more competitive House races, but they can't because they're trying to salvage every conceivable seat that they possibly can. And God knows I have not lived well enough to pray to the Lord above that Ted Cruz loses to Beto O'Rourke. Have not lived well enough. So I know that's a lot to ask. That's a heavy lift. But the only thing that I would probably enjoy more than seeing Trump leave office is seeing or listening to Ted Cruz give a concession speech after he lost. That's about the only thing that I would enjoy more than seeing Trump leave office. But we're not going to do that. Like, we're not going to get over our skis on that regard. But it's going to be interesting. Ford is testifying. There are 3 or 4 more women to come forward on Kavanaugh. Let's just see how skittish the Senate Republicans, especially the female Senate Republicans, get when it comes to this testimony. Because Lisa Murkowski's Attorney General and Governor of Alaska, well, she's the independent senator from Alaska, have already said they want her to come out against the Kavanaugh. They want her to vote against Kavanaugh's confirmation. Why? Because Brett Kavanaugh's history of ruling on Native people is so damn sketchy. So this guy is just problematic all the way across the board. But he is option A, B, C, and D for the Republicans. Like they almost would need him to back down so that they could possibly get somebody up before the midterms. But the longer this drags on, the worse it's going to be. Now, if the Republican Party wasn't so backward in terms of women, they just could have nominated a very, very, very super conservative woman and been done with this. And so, this is the identity politics that always comes into play. Because one of my criticisms of Barack Obama was, hey, look, Merrick Garland is a great nominee. He's a centrist. He's, a very straightforward, down the middle type of a guy who's got a nearly flawless, judicial record, but he's a white dude. At this point, there's no downside to voting against a white dude. None. Absolutely none. I don't care how great he is or how liberal he is. There's no downside to saying no to voting down a white guy. So had Barack Obama nominated a black woman, that would have put the Republican Party on skates when it came to holding up that nomination. I don't think Mitch McConnell would have done it. I think it would have necessarily swung the 2016 elections. It would have energized more Democrats, those who were not necessarily enthused about Hillary Clinton, especially black voters who, now that Barack Obama was not on the ballot, didn't show up. So there's so many moving parts and so many hindsight things that could have come into play that led us to this day. But, past is prologue. So, that's kind of the lay of the land right now. And, we'll come back in a little bit and we'll see how this plays out. We'll see if Kavanaugh is confirmed. We'll see if the Republicans put up anybody else. And when we do that, we'll go from there. But, great to see you. Come back if you have any questions. Put them in the comment section. Like, subscribe, share. And that's it.